a lot of games out there that fit the mold of horseshoes, cornhole, and shuffleboard, but when you take a concept like that and put it through a football blender, you get QB54. Joining me now is one of the inventors of QB54, Mike Silva, who's here to talk about how he came up with the idea and how the game is played. Mike, welcome to the show, and thanks for coming on.
Mike, thank you so much for having me. I'm super grateful for the opportunity.
I'm so excited to hear all about this product. So how did you come up with the concept for this? Let's start there.
Sure. So it was my brother and I, when we were growing up. I was 9, my brother was 12. So this is in the 80s, and it was Thanksgiving. It was time to do the dishes, and we didn't want to do the dishes, and we wanted to play football, but all of our friends were at their friends' houses. So how do you play football with 2 people? So we got 2 garbage cans and the CB antennas on the back of my dad's pickup truck. So the idea was to throw the football in the garbage can for a touchdown and then kick the extra point through the antennas in the back of my dad's truck. And that's exactly how the game was born.
Talk about creativity. Wow. Now, what inspired the name QB54?
So a very good friend of mine, his name is Robert Jarvis. I met him. He was a neighbor. We met, 8 years ago, 9 years ago. And it was like the beginning. And I was like, I need to get a name for this game. I don't know what to call it. And he's like, well, how do you play? And obviously I told him the rules, how to play. There's a lot of throwing involved. So QB for quarterback. And the number 54 is the score you play up to in order to win. So he put the 2 together, QB 54. And he's like, that's it. So I was like, you know what? Sounds good. It's like WD-40, but QB54.
But much cooler. That's awesome. So how does the game work? I know it starts as a beach chair and it turns into the game. Talk to me about how it works.
Yeah, so each set comes with 2 folding chairs that you could use as seats, comfortable seats, 2 sets of goalposts, football, carrying bag, ball pump, steel mule, everything. And what you do is you set a chair up at one end and a chair at the other, kind of like cornhole. You have, a goal at either side. Teammates are on the same side, and you get points by throwing the football. And if you hit anything, the chair, the field goal post, you get 3 points. That's a completion. Now, in the seat, there's a hole with a basketball net attached to it. If you throw the ball and it goes into the hole, into the net, that's a touchdown for 6 points. And then you kick the extra point through the uprights, which are attached to the chair. That's the extra point. Last thing, on defense, when the other team is throwing the ball, if it hits anything, goes in the air, and you grab it, that's an interception for 3 points. First to 54 wins. Got to win by 2, and the losing team always gets a shot at redemption.
I love that. So did you have to deal with a lot of rejection before you pitched the idea, or did investors take to it right away?
Yes. I mean, anytime you bring something new to market, to the public, it's an uphill battle. It's a grind. It's sweat. It's blood. It's tears. It's everything. You have to prove yourself time and time again to get this product in front of people, to get them playing it. So what happens is people see it, they play it, they love it, and then they buy it. So it just takes time to go through that motion. And then it's like pushing a locomotive, right? It takes forever to get that train moving, but once it starts moving, it's hard to stop.
I love that.
We're getting a lot of traction now. If I'm successful now, people are going to say I'm an overnight success. Well, it took me 9 years to get here. So there's no such thing as an overnight success.
I totally agree. Now, soon enough, we'll get to know the real fate of this game, because on October 1st, we'll be seeing you on Shark Tank. Talk to me about how you got selected for that, because I can't imagine that's an easy process.
Wow. So I started the process back in 2018 and 2019. I applied online, just sent in an audition tape, and we got to the second round twice. Didn't make it past there. And then this year, and there's about 30,000 businesses that apply for this show, and about 100, I believe, get aired. So that's like 1 in 300. I don't even know what the percentage of that, but it's super hard. It's easier to get into Harvard than it is to get on Shark Tank. Anyway, so my wife tells me that there's an audition in Philly. This was back in, I think, April, and it was a Tuesday when she told me. She goes, hey, Mike, they're having auditions with Shark Tank on Friday. I'm like, I don't know if I want to go through that again. And I said, screw it, I'm going for it. So I went, packed up my stuff, got there a half hour early, and there was already 1,000 people online. This was like American Idol waiting online to sing my song, but obviously I'm pitching. So, and they gave us advice. They said, be passionate about your product, because if you're not, nobody else is. And when I was there pitching, I noticed it was quiet, like it was like church. And I'm like, nobody listened to the advice. So I went into pitch, boom, I went right into my pitch, loud as can be, in your face, ended up on the show.
I cannot wait to see that episode. Now, this product is several years in the making. How many tweaks were there to it to perfect it along the way?
Yeah, so we started with buckets, sort of. The game started with garbage cans. Then we went to buckets. And then eventually, we went to chairs. And the chairs made sense because it's dual purpose. It's not only a game, but it's two comfortable chairs. It's a trunk space saver, meaning you pack one product and it does two things. So we figured that the market would buy something that's dual purpose rather than single purpose. So we went with the chair, and I had to go through a couple of manufacturers, which, had to tweak things here and there, the thickness of the frame of the chair, so it was more sturdy, and, just the nuances to really, I listened to the customer, and, they're the boss. So if I'm hearing feedback from the customer, it makes sense to tweak some things so more people would buy it.
Now, I know you haven't been on Shark Tank yet, but as of now, is there a high demand for the game, and is the feedback generally positive?
Yeah, so it's football season. I call this the official game of tailgating. So football season is the sweet spot, but come holiday season, that's when it really takes off. We have the summer season, and then we have Christmas, and that's when people, if you have somebody on your list that loves football, this is absolutely, the product for them. And we usually sell out every year come December. Oh, and one major thing is we got put into 200 Dick's Sporting Goods stores across the country. We're in over 10 locations in New Jersey. And there's nothing better than a childhood invention, getting to retail across the country, and then getting on the main stage of Shark Tank, a show I've been watching for 15 years. Now I'm finally on it.
Just hearing all this, I'm so happy for you, genuinely. Now, at this point, do you consider yourself more of a sports guy or a business guy?
All right. So my friends always make fun of me because I know no athletes. I don't know stats. I don't know who played, outside linebacker for the 1984 Denver Broncos. All I do is I play the sport. I have fun with it. And then, I'll watch an occasional game. And as far as business goes, I haven't had one business class ever. I've learned everything on the street, so to speak, and just learning trial by error. By heart, I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I just didn't know how to take that first step. And if there's anybody listening out there that wants to start their own business, that is scared, those feelings are normal. It's natural. I would say believe in yourself, believe in your product, and don't listen to the noise. Keep moving forward and put in the hustle and grind every single day, and ask yourself one question. What did I do today to move the needle? And that's it.
That is so fantastic. Mike Silva, co-inventor of the QB54. Thanks so much for taking the time, and I hope this game keeps flying off the shelves. Best of luck.
Mike, thank you so much again for the opportunity. And if anybody is looking to get a set, can I plug my website? Is that cool?
You can plug away.
So we're for sale on playqb54.com. We have our Amazon store. And if there's a Dick's Sporting Goods location near you, you need it right away. You walk into that store, grab one off the shelf, and start having fun.
Mike Silva, thank you so much for the time today.
Thank you, Mike.
Coming up, we speak with Geoff Magliocchetti about pro basketball and the NFL. Stick around. quest for a repeat has sadly ended for the New York Liberty as their season just came to an end in round one of the playoffs against the Phoenix Mercury. Joining me now to talk about that and other hot topics in the sports world is our dear friend Geoff Magliocchetti. Geoff, welcome back. Hope you had a great summer.
Mike, thank you for having me on. Hope your summer was likewise great.
It was great and it was fast, but here we are in the fall. We're going to talk basketball. Let's start with the Liberty. They lost to the Mercury in a best-of-3 series, ending their season. They didn't get swept. They at least made it to a third game. But with that in mind, was this a series that could have gone either way, or based on what you saw, was it not meant to be for the Liberty again this year?
It sounds like a cop-out, but yes and no in a sense, because the first thing anyone's going to talk about when it comes to this Liberty season is the myriad of injuries they had all year long. Their nightly injury reports routinely resembled starting fives that would, make the playoffs, even if they weren't five women technically. But this was a tough break for New York this year, who lost almost every single member of their starting five to extended stretches this year. Brianna Stewart, for example, misses 13 games from late July into August, during which New York went 5-8 in that stretch. Sabrina Ionescu had toe injury that forced her to miss some late games. John Paul Jones was injured in June. So yeah, there was a plenty of injuries this year. But New York would be the first to admit that it was not all injuries that did them in this time around. There were several frustrating incidents that permeated throughout this year. They allowed too many second chance points, for example. Rebounding proved to be an issue. Head coach Sandy Brondello frequently cited the physicality battle that New York would constantly, find themselves on the wrong end upon. So New York has always been, New York would be the first to admit that this season went far beyond just the injuries. And what's unfortunate, though, is that they did battle to the very end, particularly Brianna Stewart. What's particularly ironic about the way this New York season ended was that all year long, the battle cry, among the fan base anyway, appeared to be, just wait until we're healthy, just wait until they're healthy, just wait until they're at full strength. And ironically enough, it was an injured player in Brianna Stewart who had endured a sprained MCL during game one of the Phoenix series. It was she who rose up to the occasion and really pressed things forward for New York with a 30.9 rebound performance in game three that featured her scoring the final 14 points of the Liberty season, being the only New Yorker to score in the fourth quarter of that game. So, again, this was an interesting year for New York, an obviously disappointing year for New York. But there are desires within this organization on the team to run it back. Brianna Stewart immediately committed to moving forward with this team over the past few years. This was her third year in New York. Over the past 2 years, she signed a team-friendly deal in 2024 that allowed New York a little more leeway in terms of what they could do during the offseason. And this time around, she was granted core designation, which allows teams exclusive negotiating rights in exchange for a 1-year supermax contract. So there's going to be a lot of uncertainty when it comes to this WNBA offseason, which makes this defeat even more brutal to bear. But at the same time, there are desires within this organization to run it back. New York still trusts each other, still believes in each other. Brianna Stewart gave a very heartfelt plea in favor of head coach Sandy Brondello sticking around. So there is a strong desire to run it back with this group. It hurts for the time being, but New York is interested to see what it can do with a full strength group, which of course will likely include Benijah Laney Hamilton, who missed this entire season with an injury after enduring off-season surgery. So interesting to see what happens. But of course, first things first, the signing of a collective bargaining agreement, which will no doubt dominate the headlines of women's basketball once the WNBA finals wrap.
Now, the NBA preseason kicks off in about a week and a half. Knicks have a couple of games against the Sixers, and then it's off to the Timberwolves, the Wizards, and the Hornets. How do the Knicks look as of now, and should we take these preseason games at face value?
Mike, I'll say this. I kind of want to break this on your program, but I think Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns are going to make this roster. I think that they're going. I think that the top five is spoken for, but the Knicks do have an interesting dilemma to work with, a welcome dilemma, if you will. New York really spent this offseason not with marquee signings, not with headlining moves. Of course, they've always lingered in the discussion, be it for Giannis, be it for LeBron James, over whether they over their metropolitan over their futures. Whenever there's a big free agent on the move, it seems the Knicks are always in that rumor mill. And over the past few years, there's always been, a sense of disappointment. They never really got into that group. Although they did succeed last year with the additions of Mikal Bridges and Karl Anthony Towns. But this time around, New York had a decidedly quiet offseason, mostly deciding to focus on depth scoring, depth stars at this point. They went out and signed Jordan Clarkson. They went out and signed Gershon Yabusele. So those are two additions that are really going to boost the bench scoring, which finished dead last by a wide margin in last year's scoring department. So interesting to see what the Knicks will do there. And over last week, the Knicks really went on a bit of a frenzy in terms of free agent signing. They brought back Landry Shamet. They brought in Malcolm Brogdon, joining Clarkson as a previous winner of the Sixth Man of the Year award. And they brought in several others, guys like Garrison Matthews, guys like Alex Len. And this is really telling of where the Knicks organization is at this point. Role players and guys who want to really succeed, want to be the missing piece in a championship puzzle, they want to come to New York at this point. So many off seasons pass. How many times? So many trade deadlines pass. So recently, how many times have from a Knicks perspective they said things like, "Well, maybe we could bring in Russell Westbrook. Maybe we could take a look at the buyout market. Maybe we could bring in guys like an aging Westbrook, for example." That's not the case this time around. Experienced veteran role players are coming in and they want to be a part of this organization. So that's really going to be an interesting subplot to watch this preseason. Now, the Knicks, in their due diligence to get back to the NBA's penthouse, to compete among the Final Four, and to compete and to take that next step, they have done so through a strong financial sense. They've been very smart financially. They've stayed out of the restrictive second salary apron, which would very much hinder their opportunities to move forward, their opportunities to make moves and whatnot. And as we're seeing teams who have who have fallen into the apron before, look at the Boston Celtics, for example. They had to give away certain members of their championship squad from not too long ago, and more could be on the way. We don't know what's going to happen to, say, Jaylen Brown. They've already had to say goodbye to Kristaps Porzingis, say goodbye to Drew Holiday. So we've seen the aftershocks of falling into the apron. The Knicks have avoided that. And so we look at this roster right now. It'll be interesting to see who wins these roster battles. Because one thing that stands out to me, one thing that's very interesting to me, shortly after re-signing Shamet, they go out and get themselves Brogdon. And I don't think you sign, and I'm not trying to speak for Leon Rose or anybody, but I don't think you sign an incumbent Death Star like Shamet and then you go out and bring in an accomplished talent off the bench like Brogdon and not have a desire to keep them both. This could lead to a trade at some point, and it could lead the Knicks to part ways with prized prospects such as Pacom Dadier, such as Tyler Kolek. If you look at the roster right now, perhaps the most tradable, the most desirable asset at this point is perhaps Miles McBride, who has really come into his own over the past couple of years, turned himself into a two-way star. But what the Knicks are building is interesting, and that's what you got to look for this preseason. Look for the depth battles. Because I feel like we've spoken about this when it comes to Liberty, for example. They proved it perfectly last year. A supposed super team only goes as far and is only as deep as its role players and Death Stars. Look what the Liberty was able to accomplish last year with players like Kayla Thornton rising to the occasion, players like Niara Sabally rising to the occasion. It's the same thing in New York this time around. They have a very strong starting five, and now they're bringing the complementary Death Stars to work with them. Guys like Clarkson, guys like Yabusele, guys like Brogdon, and guys like Landry Shamet, and perhaps even Miles McBride. So, and can't forget Mitchell Robinson as well, an experienced starter who's currently supposed to back up Karl Anthony Towns at the center spot. So, very interesting for New York right now. They're at a very interesting place on the franchise timeline. Veterans want to come in and be that missing piece. And those battles will be very intriguing to watch over this preseason slate, which gets underway on October 1st against Philadelphia in Abu Dhabi.
So switching over to the NFL, the Jets are 0-3, the Giants are 0-3. I don't even want to talk about the Jets. They're just too frustrating. But as for the Giants, people are already tired of Russell Wilson, and they want to see what Jackson Dart can do. Is he the right choice at this point?
It's hard to say at this point because you don't want to throw Jackson Dart into the proverbial fire because the schedule maker did the Giants absolutely no favors at this point. Having hosted Kansas City this week, now they have to go in and face the Los Angeles Chargers. A bit of a reprieve comes in a couple weeks. I believe they play the Saints, as a matter of fact, who looked absolutely woebegone against Seattle on Sunday. But then they have a couple matchups with the mighty Philadelphia Eagles. But at this point, we're getting closer to, a point of no return where it's like, how much can you actually trust Jackson Dart at this point? How much can you continue to throw Russell Wilson out there without Jackson Dart losing any confidence in himself? We've seen fleeting appearances of Dart over the past couple weeks, but they don't seem timely. They don't seem to be done with a winning sense in mind. Because when it look at yesterday's game against Kansas City, Giants go into the red zone, and that would be a perfect time to run an RPO, to run play action, to run with the quarterback. Instead of using Jackson Dart, they're using Russell Wilson to run these plays. That seems like a perfect opportunity to play Dart in the game. So the Giants have to make a decision at some point. You have to embrace the fact that, look, I know it's only 3 weeks in the year, but the playoffs are probably more of a fleeting possibility, more of a pipe dream at this point. You look at what they've been able to accomplish. The Giants have some respectable losses. They played Kansas City fairly well yesterday. They limited Patrick Mahomes to 2 rushing yards after he had 123 over the first 2 weeks, most among quarterbacks in that span. They limited Mahomes to 6.1 yards an attempt, lowest he's had so far in 3 games this season. So there were things to be proud of for the Giants yesterday, but they can't really relish it because the offense is just stuck in this rut at this point. And, Russell Wilson, credit to him, did a solid job in week 2 against Dallas, who, staving off the cult of Dart for at least a week out there. But, as we discovered yesterday, that game probably said more about the Dallas defense than it did what Russell Wilson has to offer at this point, unfortunately, from a Big Blue perspective. So what the Giants need to do, they need to get some semblance of a plan going. They need to put themselves at some point of no return. You have to put Dart in, and you have to leave him in at this point. You have to designate a date where things become research and development. You need to get him into the game. Now that will require, some semblance of an offensive line as well. You got to get Dart in a place where, his career won't end as quickly as it began. So I'm interested to see what the Giants do at this point, and I'm interested to see what sort of deadline the Giants set for themselves, at least metaphorically, as they press forward into a very, very tough schedule.
Anything else is an upgrade at this point, Geoff. Thanks so much for taking the time today. We'll talk soon, brother.
Mike, appreciate your time and insight. Keep up the good work, sir. You and Pam do great things.
Thank you. You as well. Well, coming up, a Kean University coach is getting inducted into the school's Athletics Hall of Fame. We'll talk to Jody Valenti when we come back. Well, the last time I had Jody Valenti on the show, I interviewed her about being the head coach of women's tennis at Kean University. But something big has happened since that interview. The induction class for the school's Athletics Hall of Fame has been announced, and Jody's name is on the list. In addition to being head coach, Jody was also a star player at the school from 1999 to 2003. She joins me right now. Jody, congratulations, and thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, it's our pleasure. So as I said, we got to learn about you as a coach in our last interview. Talk to me about your experience as a Kean University athlete.
So when I entered Kean University as a freshman, I wanted to just play tennis. Even though I was a prior 3-sport athlete in high school, I played tennis, basketball, and softball. Softball was actually always my favorite growing up, but then I just began loving tennis in high school. Sophomore year, I started playing, and then when I made it to Kean, I did play 4 years at Kean University. I was captain my senior year, and when I first started playing as a freshman, I didn't make the actual starting lineup, and I came from being number 1 singles player in high school, which is obviously in high school the top, there's 3 singles players and the top being the best. So it was a big transition becoming an athlete at the collegiate level, because now you were going up against, different players at many different levels. So I had to work hard. My freshman year, I'd say probably most of the season. And then I went on, and I believe I was 8-0. But it took me to the mid-season to get adjusted and to make the starting lineup. Also, I had to become familiar with playing both singles and doubles at the college level, because in high school, they only allow you to play one. So it was a great experience. I met a lot of great teammates. I had good coaches that pushed me to do a great job.
Certainly proved your worth with your playing skills. Now, what has the journey been like from student athlete to head coach?
So as an athlete, obviously you have many coaches throughout my entire life that pushed me to do my best. So when I was growing up, I always wanted to do a career where I want to help people. So it was either in the medical field at first, or I always had a dream of being a teacher. So I chose to be a physical education teacher, which I'm in my 22nd year now. And when I became a teacher, I always knew I had that drive in me to become a coach, because I wanted to take the knowledge and skills I learned and pay it forward to the athletes in today's world. So I love being a coach. I never thought I'd be a college coach, because I also coached high school softball, which I had a great career doing at Immaculate Conception High School, where we won quite a few state championships in a row. So I have that fire and drive in me to constantly keep winning, keep going, and keep doing more and more and more. So being a coach, I honestly love helping the younger players develop both on and off the court. So it's been a great experience to be a coach. And if you had asked me back then, would I coach college? I didn't know that. I knew I'd maybe start in high school, but it's such an honor to coach at the university level.
And it ended up being the right choice for you. Now, Induction Day is Sunday, October 5th during homecoming. Who do you expect to be in attendance that day? And do you have your Hall of Fame speech all planned out yet?
So my family obviously will be there, my friends, my loved ones, which I'm all very blessed and grateful for having them being able to share this special opportunity and moment with me. The Kean Athletic Department will be there, which many of them are great just to see, great supporters. Anytime I need help, because I'm not always at Kean, I'm a part-time coach there. So I teach during the day, and then I do the coaching after my day at school. So all of those people are going to be there, which is great. I'd love to have their support on my side. And as far as the speech, Kean does it a little differently. They actually make us do a video to thank everyone and do our speech, and then we'll accept the award there, and they will play the video with our speech on it. But when I had to come up with my speech, it wasn't really easy. It's hard to thank everyone, because there are so many people along the journey. And within the speech, I said it's kind of like a team, because there's so many members that have helped me become successful at this level and to earn this honor. It's like a team effort.
That's so fantastic. Now, you don't only have the induction ceremony to look forward to, you've also got your first game of the season coming up this Saturday, September 27th. How do you feel as you head into this season?
So every time we start a new season, I always have a great positive outlook on things. My energy is always up, and I try to bring that to the players, preparing them for the start of the season. I have to say we have a few newcomers, a couple freshmen, and one freshman actually will be playing the top spot. So that's a great honor for her to earn that spot as a freshman, because I had one person graduate, which was my first singles last year. So a few newcomers, the veterans on the team, the upperclassmen, they're taking them under their wing in such a positive way. So we're excited for a brand new season, a brand new fall start, and hopefully we have a great season, a great winning season.
Now, Jody, final question. With this induction, you've got such an amazing resume. Start player, head coach, Hall of Famer. As complete as that resume is, do you have anything else on your bucket list as far as tennis goes?
So as far as tennis, I love being the coach. I mean, it feels like a full-time position. Like I said, I'm a teacher. I'm only part-time. So I think after I maybe finish 25 years in the teaching field, I may want to become a tennis coach full-time, which would be a great opportunity. I also sometimes go back and forth and say, hey, maybe one day I'll become an athletic director or a vice principal. There's many options I have, but with tennis, I would maybe possibly love to coach full time, win a conference. I always jokingly say, why not a national championship one day? But I do have big dreams, and tennis has given me a great opportunity with my career.
So glad to hear it. Jody Valenti, head coach of women's tennis at Kean University, and now a Hall of Famer. Thanks so much for coming on. Congrats and best of luck this season.
Thank you so much. I'm blessed and so grateful. Thank you for having me on.
It's our pleasure. Well, that's it for this week's show. I'll see you next Monday. For all New Jersey sports and news, head over to ONNJ.com.